This conference will now be recorded.
This time I would like to ask the Reverend Ward Hill, who labored First Baptist Church, to provide her invocation, and County Manager Greg Martin will lead our faithful.
Please pray with me. Father, thank you so much for allowing us to be here tonight. Lord, we pray that you'll be in this meeting, you'll guide and direct each person that speaks tonight. Please be with our county commissioners, Lord, that you'll be with each one of them. Give them the knowledge and wisdom they need to take care of the business that needs to be taken care of tonight. We pray that we'll put you first above everything else. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
One change to the agenda before we approve the consent items. We'll take off the attorney-client privilege. Take off what? The closed session we have for attorney-client. We're going to remove that, but we're going to add personnel. We'll add personnel.
Motion to approve the changes.
Motion to approve Mr. Stevens, second by Mr. Britt. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Yes.
I'll make a motion to accept. Second. Rest of it. Say again, what was your motion again?
I can get that.
What was the motion?
I made a motion on the change and then we made a motion to approve.
What number was that?
Add it. What? That's on the closed session.
That's a closed session. Oh, okay.
Motion by Mr. Britt, second by Mr. McGill to approve the rest of the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? This time, we're going to recognize White Lake Water Festival poster winners, and I'm going to turn it over to Elizabethtown White Lake Area Chamber of Commerce Director, Ms. Terry Dennison, and I will ask all the commissioners to step down to the front.
Hi, I'm Terry Dennison with the Elizabethtown White Lake Area Chamber of Commerce. This is Elizabeth Cashwell, representing the Grand Regal. As many of you know, we had the White Lake Water Festival a couple weeks ago. It was very successful. We did real well with getting coverage from WECT for it, so we think that helped a lot. One of the things we started last year was doing a contest for the logo for the next year. So we have a contest amongst the school children to do pictures, and we're here to present the top 3 to you, and you'll get the first peek at the logo for next year. I'd like to call up Morgan Mears. She's the 3rd place winner. This was her design. So she gets the certificate. And Elizabeth has a little something for you. Our 2nd place, all these children are from West Bladen High School, so you know that. So we're very grateful for Ms. McMillan, who is their teacher, and we got entries from a lot of places, but just so happens that all 3 came from West Bladen.
Oh, nice.
So I'd like to call up the 2nd place winner, which is Sarah Hash.
Really good. Really good.
Yeah, I mean, we've really creative work. So if you want to step over to Mr. Hester.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Here's her certificate.
Thank you so very much. That was really, you put a lot of time.
And our first place winner is Kiara Polovich. And this will be the design you'll see replicated as we start promoting the White Lake Water Festival next year and on the t-shirts. So I'm really excited. We can give Here we go.
Thank you, man. Fantastic job.
Thank you.
Very creative. Looks good.
Thank you for allowing us to do this here and having the
Thank
students
you for
get
doing it.
recognized by all of you.
Thank you for doing this
Yeah,
here.
so we're
appreciate
excited and on to next year.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, I declare open the public hearing to receive comments regarding proposed consolidation of Totemore Fire Service District with the Carville Fire Service District. Anyone would like to speak? This time, I declare the public hearing closed. Second public hearing, declare open to receive comments regarding proposed fiscal year 2023-24 budget. Anyone would like to speak? Declare the public hearing closed at this time. Declare open the public hearing to receive comments regarding the proposed fiscal year 2023-24 economic development budget. Would anyone like to speak? I declare public hearing closed. Individuals, delegations wishing to address commissioners. Proposed low-income housing project in East Arcadia. Right here. Yes, sir. You have it, sir. Can you give us your name, sir?
Mr. Duncan, sir.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mr. Duncan, and this is Ms. Judd. I would like to thank everybody for giving us the opportunity to be here today. First and foremost, I'm a retired Marine. I'm currently a resident of Bladen County, to be more specific, East Arcadia. Been there now for about 15 years, and I love the small town. Was raised in Brooklyn, New York. So since I've been in East Arcadia, it was pretty much a lot of challenges. To be more specific, we have no broadband for internet. We have issues with water. We have no garbage disposal, if you will. We have no housing. And as we all know, East Arcadia is smack dead in the middle between Wilmington and East Arcadia, and actually E-Town. So anyone can live in that particular town and commute back and forth if there was pretty much employment. Right now, we are struggling in terms of providing housing for everybody. So I took that challenge as a retired Marine to do something about that. My particular project is to provide 30 townhouses in the town of East Arcadia. Is it doable? Absolutely, it is. It is. Ms. Judd and myself, we want to build 30. We're going to do 12 three-bedroom units, 12 two-bedroom units, and 6 one-bedroom units. Obviously, the one-bedroom unit will be for veterans, and it will be for senior citizens that have an issue ascending to the second floor in the townhome. We started this project several months ago, and we've done most of the work. We've done most of the work. The only thing that we're asking for from the town, from the county itself, is pretty much a letter, starting up the whole process. I'm going to have Ms. Judd introduce all that in just a second. But I would like for everybody to consider my proposal for housing, affordable housing in the East Arcadia area. It's very needed. Ms. Judd, can you speak on this, please, ma'am?
Good evening, members of council. My name is Shannon Judd. I have served as a developer for the last 30 years. What Mr. Duncan is speaking about is there are community development block grant funds that are available to Bladen County. because Bladen County is considered one of the most impacted counties in terms of the storms, previous storms. So the state has actually designated funding specifically for Bladen County. There's a cap of $10 million. Again, it's 30 units. We estimate the budget to be a little less than $8 million. We have applied for some of the funding. However, we need assistance in terms of Bladen County applying for the Community Development Block Grant Funds. So we're asking Bladen County to submit an application to the state on our behalf for a little over $5 million. Again, Bladen County is one of the designated most impacted communities. We feel like we have a good application. We have pretty much the team put together. We've done a lot of the work. We've completed the phase 1 environmental assessment. There are no environmental findings for the property, which is Mr. Duncan's property. We've also completed an analysis for the septic system, which is also doable. We are working with an architectural and engineering firm. Mr. Duncan has in his hands the site plan for the property. In addition to the 30 units, there will also be a community building, as well as a picnic and play area for the children. The letter of interest, which is accepted by the state, the process began on May the 15th. They are due in June. We're asking for the county to submit the letter of interest on our behalf for this particular project. The full application is due in August, but again, we're asking the support of Bladen County.
Any questions?
Yes. I know you say you worked on the engineer part. I know you've been working on this long enough and have support by those at the state already. When does the letter have to be in? When do you?
In 2 weeks. In 2 weeks. It's like the 16th of.
It's June 27th, but the actual process started May 15th.
Right.
So we could have submitted it then. So we're asking as soon as possible, can we have the letter of interest? I have also drafted a letter of interest if that will help to expedite that process.
You want to add anything, Mr. Hall?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I indicated in email correspondence to you late last week, there may be other projects that the board would want to consider as well, in addition to Mr. Duncan. And so it may behoove the board to appoint a committee of members to explore this, and hopefully by our next meeting on the 19th, be able to have a better idea of which projects the county would want to include in this letter of interest to the state.
But the letter of interest is going to be submitted.
It needs, yes, sir, by the 27th, our next meeting, the 19th.
Mr. McGill.
I love the idea. I was actually in East Arcadia today and kind of looking around. It's pretty cool. Just a question, just curiosity. So at the dollar amount, the number of units, it comes to about $267,000 a unit. So benefit pro con of this as compared to possibly something that would be single family housing units. It seems to be in communities, there's a little more pride of ownership if it's, whether it's habitat, other things, when a person actually has a home of their own. It's a pretty high dollar amount per unit, especially for one bedroom. So just wondering kind of just help us understand the benefit, pros and cons of a multi-housing unit versus single family home.
I can speak on that for just a second. For the multifamily, number one, you're going to have one roof. It's cheaper than an individual home, if you will. This will be affordable rental units. Folks will actually have an opportunity to own, or actually not necessarily own, but have the means of saying, this is mine. Does that make sense to you? Not necessarily own, it will be rented.
Can I speak to that? So one of the benefits, and you also have before you from the Housing Coalition, in which they complete the need for housing for various counties in North Carolina. For Bladen County, if you will look at the document in front of you, 55% of the households in Bladen County are not able to afford their rental units, while only 27% are homeowners are having difficulty affording their units. So based on this housing analysis completed by the Housing Coalition, 55% of the population in Bladen County is having an issue with affordable rental properties. Also, the rents will be based on the HUD rents for persons that are 80% or below the area median income. So while there may be persons who have homes or would like to own homes, there's also a great need for those who would like to rent. Everybody's not able to afford a home. But again, per the state, there's a cap of $10 million per county. If there are counties that may not apply, then your county could possibly receive more than $10 million. We're not asking for the full $10 million. So even if there's another project, we're not asking for the full $10 million. We're only asking for a little over $5 million.
The question I want to ask is, with East Decatur being separate entity, governmental entity, are they eligible to partner with the county with demographics and population to do a joint venture with the community block grants that would release more funding, or is all the funding like this one thing? Like municipalities usually can get into more housing than actual rural counties. And that's something that we kind of gravitate into. Could they apply?
So for this particular funding, Bladen County itself would have to apply.
The town would be
No.
part of that scenario.
Mr. Peterson.
I don't remember if Lumber River Council government, we did that fair, but who's getting the rent money?
Myself.
You?
Yes, sir.
You would actually manage the,
Yes.
I would actually manage from the start of the project to the end of the project. Yes, sir.
any other questions? Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other individual delegations?
James Freeman.
How y'all doing this evening? Good. My name is James Freeman. I'm the fire chief for East Arcadia Volunteer Fire Department. Hope y'all doing well this evening. This is my assistant chief, Leonard Hall. Just want to give y'all a brief rundown of what we had going on over the last year, the improvements that we had and things that we had going on as well. First and foremost, we were inducted back into the Bladen Firefighter Association. I think that was a couple months ago that took place. We also have been in constant training relationship with the members of BCC to keep constant training going on at the fire department as well. From the grant that y'all gave us, we took that money and repaired the air machine and also got brand new radios and pages that will carry us out further than the ones that we have that probably will be outdated in a couple of years as well. We got an OSFM grant for new turnout gear. So we got brand new turnout gear. We received that also last week. Also received a grant from Fort County, which replaced the lights in our bay, brand new LED lights, just small improvements, maybe to some, but big improvements for us. Membership has also increased over the last year, and we also work with the state to correct NIFRS reports and other paperwork that we had issues with before. Actually, recently at Saturday, we did smoke alarm Saturday, and I just want to talk about the success of it. We installed 54 smoke alarms in our community. 47 homes were checked in total. 19 of those homes didn't have any smoke detector at all, so that was kind of big for us. Leonard has a couple more things as well.
Also, I'd like to say about a year ago that we came in and asked the county to help us and give us a chance. And with a big, big thank you, we'd like to say thank you for the opportunity. And we were determined to prove ourselves worthy of the chance that we have. We've received tremendous community support. We've worked our butts off. We've raised money, fundraisers. We've paid our workman's comp insurance and all that. We've already raised the funds to do that again. Lots of other things, the equipment and everything, so far as our tanker. We've got everything in place. We've answered every call that comes to us, and we're sure that we saved a life. We do EMS assist calls. We had a young lady that had passed out. When I got there, she was non-responsive and barely breathing. We called EMS was all on the way. When I got there, I realized what happened, so I called for Narcan. And the deputy was able to get there quicker than EMS, and I continued CPR, and we actually think we're pretty sure we helped save that young girl's life. Traffic control, we've also secured more funding, the Office of State Fire Marshal for $30,000 for additional grant to get two-way radios back in the hands of more of our responders, so that whenever they page us out, it won't be like, do you have traffic? Do you need initial responders? Because right now we got, most of the guys have pagers, so they can't talk back and forth or just big mouth me most of the time. But, you know, we're doing pretty good financially. East Arcata is in the process of doing a fire tax for the upcoming year. So, statewide, we did get put on probation. I want to let y'all know that we done and everything that we were supposed to do, training, NIFAS reports, but there was just a drop in communication. And we reached out, but we didn't get a reply. Maybe it just got dropped. But anyway, we're in the process of working on that. We're still 9S, and we're still waiting the final inspection. I did talk with a couple of guys today. They're working on that. But, you know, I kind of said, look, you know, we got a lease for a year to see how we're doing. So we need to get this thing moved up to where we can get this on out the way. We also have some 5 newer guys, younger guys that's committed to joining the fire department and above the ones that we've already got. But we need some young blood in there. But, you know, we want to be sure that everything is in place and right so that we can go forward, move on, and make East Arcata Fire Department even better than what it is. Again, we just like to thank y'all for the opportunity. We look forward to working with y'all in the future. But we have sustained, and we have been doing very well. And I myself am proud of the job that we've done, and so is our community. We've received numerous great support inside and outside of our fire district. We've answered calls that wasn't in our fire district, but no complaint ours. When it's a community, it's all our community. It's East Arcata. It's not just East Arcata Fire District. So again, we thank y'all for the opportunity and chance that y'all gave us, and we look forward to working with y'all being a service to our community in the future.
And Mr. Rick, I personally want to thank you for all the efforts that you've made. We were able to help you through our ARPA funds.
Yes.
I had so much belief in you. I took the money that you received out of my portion of my ARPA funds just to show East Arcadia that this commissioner board supported the efforts of not just y'all, but every fire department. And it's tough to get volunteers to do much of anything anymore. And I'm so thankful and grateful, and I appreciate y'all coming. And I'm glad we did what we did, and I'm really glad that I did what I did to show faith that I had in you folks, especially when I was chairman at the time and felt like we got a little heat. Absolutely. But I think that y'all know where our hearts was and our desire, and I hope that we showed that, and y'all have showed it in response.
We appreciate you as well.
I would ask Chairman Hester if you can put that on the agenda for that extension next meeting.
That was my next question.
Yes. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you so much for your day.
We appreciate it.
Without y'all, we could not have done it.
Absolutely.
We thank for all the support, and you know, I've worked hard. All our members have worked hard. I mean, I'm telling you, we've sold chicken and rice plates, barbecue plates. I'm telling you, we worked our butts off, and without y'all, we could not have done it because, you know, like I said earlier, we just wanted a chance, and we look forward to just making it better. You know, to better be able to serve our community.
We love success stories.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank y'all. We appreciate it.
The other individuals, delegation. Items of interest to commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, I've got.
Yes, sir.
I know I mentioned this in our last meeting, but it's something I think we need to take very seriously. Two policies I think need to be researched and implemented. One, and both, I think we need to be proactive instead of doing what many communities are doing, being reactive. And it's concerning the confusion that seems to be creeping across our country when it comes to biological gender. I would like to see us as a community, as a board, adopt a policy making it very clear that if you use a restroom facility, any county-owned property that you use according to your biological gender, not whatever you will FEMA life. Our young girls do not need to walk into a restroom wondering if a man's legally going to walk in behind them, and it's happening. Secondly, I know Mr. Pate's here tonight. I would like to request that he research what other communities are doing when it comes to recreational sports. You might think this is only something happening in California, but just in the last few weeks, students from our county have had to travel, little girls playing a girl sport against biological males. It's happening here in our state. Rather than us sitting here making a reactive move to deal with something that's already happened, I'd rather us make a proactive statement through our county recreational sports to make it very clear that if you're a biological male, you play against other biological males and so forth with females. I never thought we'd be having such a conversation, but I want to see us take a stand and take it firmly in love, but to protect our young ladies and our young men who trust us to make sure we give them a safe environment to play recreational sports.
Any other commissioners?
I would just echo what Cameron said. I would hope that we would speed our way through this now that it's out in the public, so we don't have something to come up before we get our policy in place. So I'd love to see it sped up real quick.
Mr. Cobbin?
I'd like to request, though, when we get into this, it's important whether we get the attorney to bring us the legalities and what laws and findings and obligations, so we can get the overview of what's happening before we start imposing rules and regulations on people.
I echo his statement, because I know the state has some issues with it, but make sure we're right.
I'll just get one statement. We propose a 3% COLA for the employees. I kind of don't like that. I think we should give them at least 5%. Right now, the federal government is giving 5.2%. And I think we are, and the North Carolina Southeast regional average for COLA is 4.4%. So we are having our employees below average. And so I'd like to see us kind of look at that again. And I know we talked about it, and somebody said they don't want that, but I think we should give them 5% COLA. Thanks.
We're going to plan another budget.
Okay.
Good, thanks.
Anybody else? I have a motion to go into session at the Board of Equalization.
So moved. Second.
A motion by Mr. Gillespie, second by Mr. Bullock. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ms. Renee?
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
As you recall, on May the 1st of 2023, the Board of Equalization and Review heard Mr. Tommy Ray Tatum's request for a refund for the years of 1997 through 2004. The board requested for more research on Mr. Tatum's hearing, and I contacted Mr. Chris McLaughlin at UNC School of Government Public Law and also our county attorney, Alan Johnson. And based on the general statute of 105-381, the county cannot justify a refund for the years requested. Unfortunately, we cannot find any written documentation of a request of refund.
Yes, sir. There is written documentation in 2008 when they come there and they give them 3 years credit. So my understanding is you should have went back 5 years, or not you, but the tax office should have went back 5 years. So I think we owe them for the year. 1 year is what I think you told me that they weren't clear. I think we owe them that. So my motion is to pay him that 1 year with interest, because I think that's the fair thing to do when you look at the 5 years.
Motion by Mr. Peterson. Pay back 1
And I
year.
think legally we'll be covered by doing that.
Second by Dr. Mungo. My question is, are we good legally? I mean, I want to do it.
Chairman, today when Renee called me about this matter, I also looked at 105-381, and it's clear where it states under A3, it says that the tax has been paid, which is my understanding this tax was paid for that year, correct?
Yes.
It says that any time within 5 years after said tax first became due, or within 6 months from the date of payment of such tax, whichever is a later date, they make a demand for a refund of the tax by submitting to the governing body of the tax unit a written statement. And from what Renee's telling me, they do not have a written statement from, I believe, Mr. Tatum, back in their files on this matter. So without a written statement per the statute, you know, there's a recourse for him to do, and that's under C2. But for statute, that's what it states.
Mr. Hester, Chairman Hester, I know what the statute says. What I'm saying is, in 2008, our tax office give them 3 years credit, and they should have given 5 years. So my motion stands as I made it. The first time I asked, and I know I came before this body at one time where I was being taxed additional money that I shouldn't have been taxed. I did not do a written request. I made a request to the board in an official complaint that I had been taxed for some funds that I had paid for a period to the town of Elizabethtown, because I did live in town jurisdiction. And they paid me back my money for 5 years. I didn't write anything down. I just made a request that they had violated my rights. I had been paying taxes, and they said they couldn't back up. I had been paying for just like him 20 years. But they was always filing my taxes on my vehicles. And I did not live in the jurisdiction. And I told him I want my money back, and when Chris was here or whatever, he found a statute or something said we can back up for 5 years. They couldn't go back 20 years, but they gave me my money, refunded me for 5 years. And maybe I broke a law.
Don't be confused.
I'm just being honest. They gave me my money, and I got refunded.
And I completely understand what Mr. Peterson stated. I mean, there was action that was taken.
Exactly.
There was action that was taken, so there was some communication that obviously occurred back 2008, I believe.
Right.
And so it was my understanding that in 2008, I just remember writing on my notes, there was that 1 year was corrected, and then they backdated a few years and made and recused it. It wasn't paid, so they released those prior years. It wasn't paid, so there was no refund. But this is the first year back in 2004 we're talking about, so almost 19 years ago. But for the records that they have, and again, Commissioner Bishop, I'm just going off what the statute says. I mean, it says there has to be a written statement, and they don't have a written statement, so I'm reading out what the statute says.
I guess my comment was because, like Mr. Peterson, they did something in 2008.
They did.
And because of that, they had to give some documentation of a reason to satisfy that statute. So I think they need to go back to their 5 to 50 years. Additionally, does everyone turn anything in writing?
And it could have been lost. I mean, it could have been lost, is what.
So I'm saying, so, and all fairness.
There was some interaction.
Mr. Chairman, she's got it written down, Mr. Review.
I was going to say, we have a level of responsibility to let a citizen know about such statutes. We have a responsibility to let them know, hey, here's the way you go about it, because nobody knows that statute book.
That's right.
Only thing I would say, if we made an administrative error, sound like we did, we need to correct it. It sounds like me.
That's the board's discretion, absolutely.
Yeah, it's an administrative error. We need to correct it.
Mr. Bree. If you go back and read the rules and the regulations on it, we've crossed this bridge before, because I like to got myself in trouble my first year. It states if we are the ones that made the mistake, then it's to be reimbursed. It sounds like we made the mistake. So I support giving every dime you can back to the citizens.
That's right. My question is, you said this for 1 year refund for tax value, or how much tax value you talking about getting back?
The 2000, I went back to 2004 just to, if there was the refund. And plus interest, the value of 2004 that he would have been taxed on or refunded on was $36,000, which would be a tax of $461.20 plus the interest over the 19 years comes to $1,277.72.
I make a motion you amended the 12.
I made the motion on the floor. So, Mr. Tatum's not gonna be satisfied with what he's gonna give, but I think it's a way to make amends. And there was documentation 2008. I'm not saying it's administrative error. I don't know what happened. Nobody don't know what happened. But we can make some part of this right, is what I'm trying to say tonight.
Can I ask one question? did the county receive payment from both people? For all those years, right? So where's that money? Did anybody get any money? Neither one of them received their money back, right? We got double payment.
You're talking about, they didn't actually get a refund.
None.
They corrected the bill before it was paid. So a release is before it's paid, a refund is after it's paid.
Right, but my question was, did the brother-in-law and he both pay?
They did.
So the county received that money, and somewhere the county messed up. We understand that, but it's hindsight. I got it. But instead of receiving $470, you end up with $942 that month. Correct? Or not?
Not for 05 through 08.
Okay, they did. Okay.
They corrected that one, so the brother-in-law paid his. The 05 through 2008, that was released and corrected.
Okay, thank you.
So we got a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I want to speak.
We've already passed it, sir.
I would add, just put in that though, is if there is a receipt, because my understanding is it's heir property. So before the county, whoever's name was on the receipt who paid that money for 2004, that should be the individual who gets it back. I'm not trying to put.
I got all the original receipts, every receipt, all of them.
I would just have part of the motion then.
Okay. And why won't Patrick and Angela name on none of these receipts that I paid? Because that's what I was paying for my sisters and them. Their name is not on these receipts. I had to come to the tax office and get them. They told me to go to him and get the money from him. I said, well, I don't even know how much money to ask him for. So they gave me the paper and wrote out on there how much to take out, how much to tell him that he owed me. And that's what I did.
Mr. Tatum, we've given you everything that we possibly can under the law, sir. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, next we have emergency medical services, Mr. David House. Oh,
Make a motion.
oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Motion to adjourn. Cameron made the motion. A second. Motion by Cameron, second by Mr. Gillespie. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Now, Mr. David House.
Good afternoon, me and Ms. Tracy here with Integrated Family Solutions. Just wanted to bend you here for a minute. We were looking at a model we were going to try. We wanted to get your approval on a memorandum of agreement to try this model. It's for mobile crisis response. Actually, their company, Tracy, actually researched this and came up with it's actually a telehealth type project. So basically what happens if EMS is dispatched for psychiatric call and we determine it's a mobile crisis, we'll make immediate contact with them and then through telecommunications through iPads, actually connect them with a provider from their service that will do the screening right there versus having to wait the 2 to 3 hour window, possibly due to staff shortages from their company to respond to the scene. So actually it speeds up the process to get these folks in some form of care. She can get more information on exactly the process of how they're doing it. It's a model that's actually being used in Texas.
Several states, Texas, Florida, and a couple of different communities within those states as well. And it's proven to be fairly successful. Essentially, you know that we started mobile crisis in Bladen County last year in February. And the ideal model and response is in person, face-to-face, to provide crisis intervention, stabilization, and prevention. However, because of the national staffing shortages, we are experiencing the same thing, and we, even outside of our, we've had several efforts to try to staff and get staff in the area that can respond in a short period of time, and just have not been successful with that. We're going to continue to try to do that. But we know the crises are not going to stop in the interim of us trying to get staff that can come out. So what we wanted to do is try to implement the next best thing, which would be essentially being in the back pocket with EMS, because we know that when we can't get there or if someone doesn't know about mobile crisis, they call 911 and a first responder is dispatched. So often they're having to deal with these situations, and a lot of times the only option is just to take them to the hospital. Then they're discharged within 24 hours, about 80% of the time, and then they're right back in the same situation they were in, and then EMS is back out there in a week, month, so on and so forth. So if we can at least provide that immediate telehealth response, give the paramedic or medical professional recommendations and link with that individual afterwards to make sure they get to the behavioral health services that they need, the reduction in crises and alleviation of their symptoms is much higher. So this is kind of our solution to the problem of staffing and time restraints.
And actually it helps as far as EMS response too, as far as reducing response time of having to be out there so long with them. And law enforcement also helps them too, because if they go to the hospital and they wind up IVC, more likely they're going to have to transfer.
The one question I asked on that one, I think that sounds real good to hear it, but when someone is in distress with a person that like has Alzheimer's, but they're having some problem, this person trying to get away from them and all this is going on, and you're trying to telecommunicate, do all cases fall in the same criteria, or do you do them separate and assess them different, would they all have to come through you? If they walk in, I think this person has a mental crisis. Do our guys have the discretion to say, wait a minute, we need to take something different?
We have the ultimate initial assessment to address any medical needs, whether it's just the alternative tool in our pocket.
There will be situations that are not going to be appropriate for telehealth. We are still working on getting the staff that can come to those face-to-face situations that aren't appropriate for telehealth. But like I said, in the interim, this is kind of our solution, and they have the ultimate say to say, this isn't even something we need to worry mobile crisis with. We need to go ahead and make X, Y, or Z move.
So you said follow-up. Who's going to do the follow-up?
So our staff that are assigned to this area would complete the follow-up. Those could be face-to-face, they could be telehealth. It depends on the acuity of the call. But with the follow-up, they're more scheduled. We can plan for our staff to be available to go out face-to-face for that versus in the moment. If we don't have somebody, we don't have somebody.
I just don't want EMS having to.
No. That it completely removes them after the initial call. So we do all that follow-up that they can't normally do to help prevent them from having to be used again.
So is there compensation to EMS for doing this?
Compensation?
Is there money?
So Trillium, no, there's not money per se directly. Trillium has offered to assist with like startup type funding. Right. And anything like that. And this is the first phase of our plan, I guess you'd say, but no, direct payment, no.
Yeah, because we were going to do it in phase 1, 2, and 3. Phase 1 would be one shift only, so we could test.
So I don't want this thing to become what EMS does it, the IVC them and put them in the hospital.
Right, that's what
I don't want that now.
That's what we want to prevent.
Okay.
That's what we're trying to do to prevent that.
I just have I'm going to use the example that a young man was in a crisis, and they called, I think they called 911, and I think EMS showed up. Then the sheriff came in, and there were like several police officers and EMS there, and they could not do anything with this young man. One of the neighbors came in because he was familiar with him, and he was able to calm him down, but they still couldn't get him in EMS. So you're telling me, during the crisis like that, you're going to use telemedicine? How would you do this?
That would be, in a situation like that, I wouldn't even go that route. And again, every situation is going to be different.
Okay.
You get some that you would be able to, they're stable enough to do it. And then you get some, like you were saying, you cannot. That's not possible.
Yeah, because he was not, okay, all right, so it would be.
So most of these calls be for people with mental illness, is that it?
So it's mental health, substance use, or developmental disabilities. We can provide services to any 3 categories. So it could be a situation where someone has substance use concerns. They've been Narcan, refuse EMS transport to the hospital, but have come, are able to talk and communicate, we could talk with them and try to help them get options for detox, rehab, things of that nature. So it's really any three categories.
So you would get involved after EMS have done their part, you would get involved and kind of follow up with them to make them a better citizen.
Right, and hopefully they don't have to use EMS again, because we're going to get them, we take it to the next step. We don't only say, okay, we think you need this. We actually help them make the referral and get them connected to that service and follow through with it.
Okay, thank you. Motion to approve by Mr. Peterson, a second by Mr. Gillespie. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Thank you. And we plan on following it up after phase one, just to see how phase one went. Soil and Water Conservation District is being here. I don't see him. I'll be glad to speak.
Got somebody,
Oh, thank you.
somebody raising their hand back there.
Got Mr. I don't see Dean. What do you need to do, sir?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Peterson, second by
On this,
Mr. Owens. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next we have Sheriff Victor. Welcome, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm here tonight to request I prepare a letter to the chairman that 4 bridges be named after police officers that have been killed in line of duty or died in line of duty. And Mr. Chairman, I think everybody has a copy of the letter, I think. One of them is NC 87 overpass here at US 701 for Deputy Jamie Collins. And one on US 701 Brown Creek, which is right up from there, would be for Roger Stocks, who died in 1993. US 701 Brown Creek would be Deputy, 410 in Crawley Barefoot Swamp would be for Dwayne Hester, who died in 2012. And US 701 at Turnbull Creek would be for Mr. James Smith.
Motion to approve. Motion to approve by Mr. Bullock, second by Mr. Britt. Any discussion?
Motion for public hearing.
Yeah, motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Motion for public hearing. Okay. Yes, yes, Mr.
The big one I hear that one.
I think we'll have the problem with DOT, I think, with putting more than one name on it. And so we requested that the families get involved and pick one near their community. That's how we came up with these locations.
Give that one center. How you gonna handle that when I say it more time?
I'm gonna handle what?
When the big bridge.
I don't know. I don't have anything.
I think it was a great suggestion when this was brought up last about, because unfortunately, the longer we have, the more folks we're gonna run out of bridges before we run out of people. So it's a suggestion possibly we have a bridge in the community, whether it's whatever, that it would be the Memorial Bridge and maybe have a place that sadly you could add names to, so that there is a possibility for generations to come to honor those instead of saying, well, we're out of bridges. I know it was a suggestion, maybe the bridge is named for a certain period of time and then that name goes away and you add another name, but I don't think that's good. Just food for thought that there could be a memorial bridge that could be ongoing and have a place to memorialize citizens that are in line of duty or whatever it might be.
Have a motion and a second to schedule a public hearing. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Sheriff.
Thanks.
Next, we have Mr. Skip McCleary, Director of General Services.
Good evening. Bring before you tonight a request for consideration for approving a repair contract on our transfer station tipping floor. This would be for the concrete work only.
Motion to approve by Mr. McGill, second by Mr. Peterson. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you. Next item we have before you is consideration of some changes to the solid waste disposal ordinance. There was some language in the old ordinance that identified a fee schedule, and that was several years back, but the ordinance with itself We'll need to have that language removed so that we can move forward with changes we need to make in our actual solid waste budgets and policies.
Yes, sir, Mr. Peterson.
So are you gonna bring back the updated fee charge? That's what I'm getting ready to say.
That would be, if you do it this way, it will be adopted each year in the budget that you approve for the county.
So each year, will be a chart showing us that? Is that
Yes,
what
sir,
you're
each
saying?
year when you adopt the budget, you have your fee schedule that you're adopting as well. This just references
With the
that.
approved budget.
So what I'm saying, the orders you're talking about, making sure I'm understanding, is where you gonna leave it vague enough or put in there language that we can change or adjust at any given time. That's not safe.
Each budget year, yes.
You can change.
And it really doesn't specify, but we know that we bill this fee in July with the tax bill, so we really need to do it each year, but it gives us maximum flexibility.
Right, so you can come with a recommendation, if I can do a regular budget item and just see where we're gonna go with it. Okay.
Yes, sir. Mr. Hester,
Yes, sir.
can we get, if it goes up, can we get current price and increases? I mean, so we can compare if it changes a whole lot when we look at the budget.
And what will help you to make your decision, because I looked, that was my comment. It was 70 disposal fees for the county. But then when you go to solid waste, the other is about, what, $60? Well, so how much money we talking about? People need to know early on. We sitting here voting. Well, I mean, you're gonna do it, you're gonna make that decision, what, for next year?
That's actually built into your current budget right
Deal.
now,
Uh-huh.
what you're approving now. We just couldn't move forward with this because this language was tying us back to the old fee schedule.
Okay. But, yes,
So,
that's a good
but
question.
how
So
much-
just really for clarification, for the why behind this is to have consistency. So we don't have the solid waste ordinance that references one fee schedule, and then our budget ordinance that references another fee schedule that changes, has the potential to change more often. So,
Okay.
thank you for the update, sir.
Thank
you.
Next, we have Mr. Grant Tate, Director of Parks and Recreation. Hello, sir.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. I come here tonight to request the use of some unused ARPA funds so we can get an enclosed garage carport out at the park. Currently, we've applied for a Cardiff grant out at the park. We've got about 2 acres that's undeveloped, and that's where all of our equipment's located. Our equipment currently is located under a carport and a chain link fence, so everybody can see everything we got. So we're trying to get everything under one roof and get it locked where we're secure, so.
I just have a question. How much money have you received already for the ARPA money? Or how much funds have you received? Yeah, for the year? About, for the park.
I don't have that in front, I don't have the budget in front of me.
That's all? How about for the paving and all the other stuff? I know.
Some of it was budgeted, some of it was a capital out of my.
Capital.
That was budgeted.
Yeah, a couple of the requests that Mr. Pace made recently is the remaining balance between what was appropriated for the paving when he first had his initial.
Just savings, just not new money, no ma'am, I wouldn't do that. I ain't giving.
I didn't know.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion to approve by Mr. Bullock, second by Mr. Gillette.
No.
Second.
Was this second?
Any discussion?
This one, I looked at the equipment that you got out there, and I'm trying to figure out, accommodating that much equipment, what kind of design are you talking about to put all this stuff?
All the equipment would not have to be inside the building. We would still have it locked up, like the trailers and stuff like that. But anything motorized, like tractors, gators, lawnmowers, all that stuff would be on one roof.
How big a building we talking about?
36 by 40. And it's actually cheap. The concrete price you guys have was actually for a 40 by 60. We had to back up pump because we didn't have that kind of money.
Good job.
All right.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, folks. Advisory board appointments. Animal Control Board.
Thank goodness. I was just getting prepared for this. All right, American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA. Can we update this?
Mr. Chairman, you all have a handout of your information, and on the second page, the lower slide there, there are 3 applications that, have been identified for you to consider acting on tonight. The first is, this pertains to District 3, the Tar Heel Fire and Rescue Department Incorporated has asked for rescue equipment in the amount of $5,000. The next pertains to District 1 and large members, and that's also Tar Heel Fire and Rescue in the amount of $2,000 for extrication suits, and also the Clarkson Fire Department in the amount of $2,000 for floor recliners.
Those are one. Okay, the two we already approved. We're not approved.
You've earmarked. I think you've earmarked.
Yeah, we just need to approve it.
it.
I make a motion that all of us approve the Tar Heel Fire Rescue and the Clark and number 4 and number 5. What about the other 5? We ain't got it right now. Which one you know with the 5? What we already approved. Yeah, 4 approved. We do 4 and 5. Number 4 and 5.
Any others? Anything else? Got a motion to approve 4 and 5. Mr. Condell. Second by Mr. Bullock. So y'all have already determined that.
Yeah.
So y'all have already, that's good. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, sir. Good job. Mr. Martin.
Cameron? The District 3, we need to approve that, Tar Heel Fire and Rescue, the 5,000.
Is that coming out of your?
Yeah. I think Danny has, they just.
Y'all need to approve that. Okay.
Y'all already got approved money appropriation?
Yes, sir, we did.
Yeah.
I make a motion we approve.
Motion by Mr. McGill, second by Dr. Ellis. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
What about, 6 and 7?
Those are ones that we have appropriate. We just wait for them to get the information, to get it stuff to us so we can approve. We already appropriated money, so we just got to wait for them to get the information to me.
And she's working on that one. You got it, or you need something else from me? For Ed?
Question, I'm in the middle of a building program that's running behind, so certainly understand. I guess I wonder, is there any update?
Okay.
I know June the 13th was the year mark that we had kind of talked about. I believe it started about a year for the community center there in Newtown, and then also any update. We've got $190,000 sitting on the table for the East Arcadia gym. Certainly, I guess we don't, just an update, know where we are on those.
Lisa, have you heard any updates?
I've received 2 updates. I've emailed all the people that had on due by June 13th, and I'm waiting for the other. I think there's 2 more that I'm waiting.
Okay.
And that's on the East Arcadia project?
No, this is on the ones that were approved June 13th last year, so they're times their yearly review.
Okay.
Mr. Britt?
On 6 and 7, back on that again, when you said waiting on details, it's got on there what the request was for.
Okay.
Both.
They're trying to do quotes.
Okay.
Some, Town Fire Department, somebody is building in the table, and he wants to see what his materials will cost before he actually does the quote for it.
Okay.
Anything else for ARPA?
Thank you, ladies.
All right, Mr. Martin, floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'd like to complete the calendar with you for June and July. Point out that tomorrow from 12 until 6, there's a blood drive at Hickory Grove Baptist Church on Center Road. On Thursday, the 8th at 6 p.m., the Fire Chiefs Association meeting will be held, and then at 7, the Fire Association meeting will be held, and I understand East Arcadia is the place for that.
Training center or your station?
Our station. On Monday, the 12th at 5 p.m., the Health and Human Services Advisory Committee meets. On Tuesday, the 13th, 9 until 2, the Bladen County Sheriff's Office will have a blood drive. And also at 5 p.m. that evening, the Court of Elections meets. On Wednesday, the 14th, 1 until 6, there's a blood drive at the Lake Church at White Lake.
Thursday the 15th through Monday the 19th, Mount Olive community is we'll be holding Juneteenth celebrations. On Thursday, from the 15th, from 10 until 2, Southeastern Community Action Partnership Resource and Improvement Fair will take place at the Tom Milton Building. On Friday, the 16th, from 6 until 9 p.m., the Sunset Jams concert series begins for the year. That will be at the Farmers Market here in Wilmington. On Saturday, the 17th, from 2 until 5, there's a Juneteenth celebration at Mount Zion A&B Church here in Elizabethtown, and also at 6 p.m. there's a Juneteenth scholarship ceremony at the Paul Brown Building. On Monday the 19th at 11 a.m. there's a Juneteenth parade on West King Street here in Elizabethtown. Also that evening the board meets at 6:30. Tuesday the 20th from 2 until 4 there's a ribbon cutting ceremony that will take place at the Bladen County Park, and that's for the new inclusive playground. Hope you all can in that.
Craig, I'll be out of town. I hate it, but I can't.
Okay, all right, thank you. On Wednesday, the 21st, the Bladen Care tournament golf tournament will be held at River Lane. Moving over to July, Monday, the 3rd at 8 a.m., there's a prayer service here. County offices are closed on Tuesday, the 4th, in observance of Independence Day holiday. On Saturday, the 8th at 9 a.m., the Elizabethtown 250th anniversary celebration continues, and this time frame will be 1874 to 1923. Okay, for Farmers Market, the Board of Health meets on the 10th at 5 p.m. The Board of Elections meets on the 11th at 5 p.m. The Board of Commissioners meets that in July, just as a reminder, one time, and that's on the 17th, third Monday. On Friday, the 21st through Monday, the 24th, the NACO conference will take place in Austin, Texas. On Friday, the 21st at 7 until 10, Sunset Jams concert continues. This will be at Goldsmith's Beach at White Lake. That's all I have. Mr. Chairman, while everyone has your calendars in front of you, if you want to talk about it in the next budget meeting.
What do y'all think about next Monday? Usually Mondays seem to work.
Monday, that's what. Well,
yes, sir.
I make a motion to have it Monday, 6 p.m.
PM work for you, Doc?
It's Wednesday, 6 p.m.
Got a motion by Mr. Cogdale next Monday at 6 p.m. to have a second by.
I second it.
Mr. Bullock. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you. Moving to item C, I wanted to share information I received from NC Rebuild a week or so ago. And also had a visit from one of their representatives. But there really is a great deal of work going on in the county, and I just wanted to share that with you. And it kind of breaks it down by communities. You can see the types of projects that are taking place, whether they're mobile home projects or reconstruction, mobile home replacements, and that type of thing. So there's a lot going on. That's very positive. I know these folks have waited a long time. Moving to item D, wanted to share with you the proposed 2024 holiday schedule. And just to remind you, we traditionally follow the state holiday schedule, and that's what this reflects. Also, moving to item D, we're returning with information related to nonprofit grant applications. We have received applications from 5 that are eligible for you to consider approving. We're waiting on additional information from the Disabled American Veterans Group and from the American Legion Post 404. We've requested additional information. Also, just for you to think about, you all will recall that Bladen Baptist Association has received ARPA funds, and fortunately, the Division on Aging was able to identify additional funds, so that you may want to take that into consideration to remind you.
So what does that come up to each one in 5? Divide 5 into 6,400 or something.
So
Motion to divide that 6425 into five times, and second.
Motion by Mr. Peterson, got a second by Mr. Colville, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Mr. Chairman, only one comment on that, if I may, just, I'm not trying to just think it out loud. For the applicants who only requested $1,000, if it's that amount divided by 5, it's gonna wind up being more than 1,000.
Yeah,
So we can go back to them
Go back, yeah.
to revise their application or whatever, I don't know that we need to appropriate more than they requested.
Thank you.
Without them supplying additional information.
I thought last time we did that, we didn't take that into consideration. We divided it equally last time we did.
You had more things last time.
That's about.
So my motion is to get it amended. I'll add that to it. Need it for Mr.
Do
Martin.
what now? What'd you say?
I'll amend my motion to, get the proper documentation and then move forward. I second.
Motion is made to amend the
What are you saying, is that the ones that we have comments on, you're saying give them opportunity to bring, okay.
That's not what I said.
What are you saying?
There's why that's eligible, we get how much, Ms. Lee? If you had to buy it 5 ways, how much would you get?
700.
Oh.
I'm looking at the white.
To the right number. Yeah, we just kind of submit the addition.
Apparently not.
They didn't walk in the door.
And Cameron second my amendment. He did it right.
I don't think they're gonna turn down a little extra.
I second.
No, I didn't want you thinking we're trying to give anybody a hard time, I'm just giving you.
I second the motion.
Okay.
That's good.
We give them more.
Thing is, they give them good, then we just have the money to return to the next.
If we can give them less than they requested, why can't we give them more than they requested?
And we voted on.
All right.
Good one.
Because then you don't know what you're appropriate, I mean, it's just kind of an internal.
Give them more money than they requested.
I mean, I don't mean to try to be.
I'm okay with that. I was just on the ones who requested it. And I guess if they know why it was not approved?
But this one.
Yeah, they do. And they had enough time to.
Okay.
But we extended it 30 days back.
Yes.
Yeah, I know, but I was talking about the information that they had.
That's
30 days.
You said no, just last week. You said last week. They extended it for 30, but then when they're doing that time, that they needed additional information, it was last week. They had a week to do it though.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Mr. Martin, can I ask one question for clarity?
Sure, Mr. Colville.
Whenever, if they can't show justification for the extension, the ones that get more than 12, then we just return that back to the budget, right?
We'll let you, yes, sir, we'll let you go on.
All right, all right.
Moving on to item F, just wanted to update you to let you know that the feedback we've received related to the flex schedule policy, you all recall that you established 6 months ago, has been positive. And so our thought is that if you're in agreement with that continuing, I think that would be good.
That was a survey among the employees.
Yes, sir.
Just thinking, Mr. So, Mr. Mark, I'm all for this. Only thing I would say is there was a couple of comments in there. I hope you look at that.
I did, we talked about
And, discuss that, how that can be worked out a little finer for all employees. Okay.
So those one deep, they get the participate, if they're one deep.
Well, that's part of the challenge that, I mean, it's hard to have a blanket thing that works perfectly for everyone. That's part of the challenge of the situation we're facing with all these various departments and providing different levels and types of services and that type of thing.
So
what happens when they are sick and take sick leave? So what happens to one deep people, employees? So if they took leave, who covers for them then? For different ones, do they have to?
Other staff members. I mean, it depends on if it's the type of position that has to be backfilled or someone's out. If someone's in a type, emergency services type role or whatever, then we have to rely on part-time people or whatever, but if
Oh,
it's
no.
just an office person,
Oh, I mean, just short, and you do flex, so it's only be every other week or something. But I'm saying for those days, if they're out sick for one day, who covers that one day? Could that same person could do it if they took flex, is what I'm asking.
yeah, and that's part of the ongoing conversation that departments are having and we'll have.
It depends on the job description.
That's what I'm saying, it's hard to give a answer to address.
I'm asking, have we established this as a policy?
Yes, sir.
That we don't follow, so we don't need to review it 6 more months. We just, keep the policy set in place at this time.
That's right. You set it in place and we said that we would
Give it 6 months.
give it 6 months.
We have met that.
And we can extend it for 6 months if you want to, or we can, it's up to you.
So let's get policy. Get it and come back to it.
Yeah, I mean, that's problem. Thank you very much. And then, item G is an update regarding the North Carolina Office of Recovery and Resiliency Affordable Housing Program that you all heard, I can speak to tonight. And as I indicated during that conversation, being helpful if you all could establish a committee to have a conversation ideally between now and the next board meeting on the 19th. Deadline for the letters of interest to be submitted to the state is the 27th. But it would be helpful if you all kind of have an agreement by the 19th, possible.
We need to put a policy together, go with that, group together.
I'll go to what?
We need to put a group together tonight.
Same service?
I serve on. That's the chairman's, choice.
A lot of it's going to depend on, do you know when these meetings will take place? Sir, it'll take place in the evenings, will take. Whatever works, whoever's on the committee. Yes, ma'am.
Last, I just have a question on this. On this $10 million that from the state that can apply for, the county can do. Has the county had any interest or started any process for looking at that money at all?
Yes.
Who say yeah?
Yeah.
Who, when? I'm sorry.
I'm speaking on Bladen Blooming and the county aspect, yeah.
I was asking when.
We may find out something like a closed session, I don't know. But
Oh, we're here tonight. I'd like to know about it. Okay. Because I was not aware of it.
Going into closed session.
I know it, so we hear about it tonight? Okay, no, yeah.
Then
I'll ask the question now. Thank you.
Just move on. I mean, however you want, so you pick them or you pass it off to you.
You can volunteer.
I mean, who would be there?
I volunteer, but
How many you need? I'd be happy to.
Well, we can't have more than 4.
Okay, well, then.
I would be the whole board.
you said you'll be on it, yeah. I'll be on it. Reed said he'd be on it.
How many you got now?
You get one more.
I got one more.
Move the big folks. Okay. More with the that.
Got that, Ms. Marie?
They want our District 3 then, if you're gonna do this.
I'll be happy to serve.
No,
If that's what you.
2 at large, District 2.
Reverse the way it is. Maybe.
Cameras,
They got 3
He can get large. He got District 1, he let large.
1, 2, 3 back here. And
1, 2, 3 at large. That's it.
You're at large.
So who's the power?
You
4 that said we're gonna be on.
3, that's large.
You get them in off.
That'll be everybody.
Let's just go with the 4.
That's all I have.
All right, moving on to item 8, just wanted to update you and let you know.
Mark,
Yes, sir.
who's gonna be the chairperson's committee to call us and say? That's gonna be Chuck. That's gonna be Chuck.
I'll be part of it as well, Chuck. Chuck will too, but
Oh, so
I'll
you
coordinate.
schedule-
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'll go ahead.
That's good. Okay.
We'll work on that tomorrow.
That's good.
Thank you, Mr. Mark. Yes, sir. I just want to update you to let you know, Mr. Kip McCleary, we're working on an initiative to try to improve the way our cars look, our county vehicles. And so we're exploring all options. I've talked with the sheriff
because the vehicle's in bad shape. Yeah. There's bad shape.
The folks have take-home cars, they usually take.
Yeah, a lot of them
drive and just leave them, and
That's right.
bark fans, things like that.
That's right.
People aren't out there watching, I understand.
So, Chairman Esther, I hope that we'll be very creative, because this is a lot of money with all these vehicles, and certainly could be used for pay raises and things like that.
That's right.
Please be creative.
And Mr. Chairman, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Individuals, delegations, wish to address the commission. Matters of interest to commission.
We're in closed session.
Oh, let's take a 5-minute break, and then we'll, go into closed session. Recess for 5 minutes.